Welcome to the Open Mic Comedy Podcast. I'm your host, Marc. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. This podcast is for the people on the open mic comedy circuit, whether you're a performer, an MC, a promoter, a tutor, anybody in fact who has any involvement in this crazy industry. Or if you're a comedy fan who really does enjoy spending their time in pub basements seeing the possible stars of the future. Even better, if you want to join the open mic comedy circuit and you want to know what to expect, this is for you. Today's guest is someone I've shared a stage with numerous times over the last year. Her energy can be likened to the Tasmanian Devil cartoon character, but with a typical Australian personality of not giving two hoots on the stage. The sets are wide and varied and carry a personal touch, which makes her style of comedy feel honest, and she allows the audience to come on the journey with her. Please welcome today's guest, Kim Hope.
Hey, Marc.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I was just listening to that intro, and that's interesting, isn't it? Because I do try to be as honest as possible, but then I've never been one to let truth get in the way of a good joke. So I will take something and then go, but it'd be funnier if I said that. And sometimes...
I think we're all like that in one sense. How can we embellish slightly?
Yeah, sometimes I worry because I hear people on stage and who I really respect, and they're like, and I know it's true. I know that's exactly what has happened to them. I know. And I think, oh, should I be more honest? But I think because I've been kind of at this for so long, on and off, I just feel like if I told you the truth, guys, it'd be, we're in for Peaky Blinders and and Desperate Housewives, like this. There'd be a lot more drama. So a lot of my characters that I talk about, like relatives, are an amalgam. Like I talk about my grandmother on stage, and she's an amalgam of several aunties as well as her. And
brilliant.
And what she said to me and to my elder sister have been put into one kind of thing. So I'm giving everyone a peek behind the curtain. But if you're listening to this, I'm pretty sure you know that's what happens. Actually, my earrings are making a clacking sound, so I'm going to take them off. I'm so aware of the sound. And with husbands or partners, they are a bit of a, because there's been so many, don't let anyone tell you I'm not good at relationships. I am, because I've had heaps, right? I'm the expert. Come to me. But yeah, so those partners or boyfriends are an amalgam of experiences I've had, because otherwise the audience couldn't keep up. My family can't keep up. Sometimes they're like, hang on, who are you talking about now? Which one? And the fact that I've got a sister called Narelle, but two friends called Narelle, that just, people are like, okay, I can't keep up with you now. And Narelle's not actually a common name here. But
no, I was going to say, they'll always think you're talking about them.
Yeah.
So how is your history in comedy then? How's it begun and the journey?
Long varied. The journey. Well, actually, I was thinking about it. I think I told my first joke when I was 4.
Okay.
Apparently, I found this joke that I loved, and my mum and dad told me I would just walk up to people, say the joke, and give them the punchline without a beat, without a breath, without letting them answer. So it would just be this little 4-year-old coming up going, What did the porcupine say when he bumped into the cactus? Excuse me, darling. That was it, like straight through. So that was my joke, and I told that for quite a few years. I don't remember telling it, but it's a thing of lore.
I think you've just brought back a horrible memory for me.
Oh, I apologise, but spill.
I guess this is a peek behind the curtain. You just reminded me of the first joke I ever told. And it was on a stage.
Okay.
In front of probably about 60 people on a holiday camp. This is all coming back to me now. In Tenerife. My parents always liked us to be involved in kids clubs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And the first joke I ever told live to strangers was, "What's black and white and red all over?" A newspaper. And it
Classic.
probably got that reaction as well.
No, it's a classic. It's a classic.
Oh no, this is therapy for me now.
I was going to say we've crossed the line, haven't we? We did it quite early too. I'm awfully proud of myself. I'm on a therapy journey, and you all must come with me. That's
Sorry,
brilliant.
carry on. I've interrupted that story.
That's reminded me of memory ping pong. When I was at high school, we did a play, an improvised show my entire year called Black and White and Red All Over. And it was based on a newspaper. July 17th newspaper we were given, and we had to pick a story out of it, and all of us reenacted it. And then it was put on for the whole school. And I chose to do comedy in that as well. I chose to do parody in that. I just think I used to do things like learn really long. We have these poems in Australia called bush ballads. Banjo Patterson and Henry Lawson wrote these long poems that told stories, and I would memorize them and get on stage in front of the class for show and tell, and just recite one of my poems with all the act outs for humour. Like, nobody asked me to. They might have asked me not to, possibly, if given the chance. But I didn't really kind of have any. We grew up watching a lot of British comedy, which is kind of why coming over here was the dream for me. But I thought the way to get into it was through acting. So I went to drama school, and I was a couple of years out of drama school. And because I'm not a small person in stature, I'm about 5'10" and a half. I know it in metric, 178 centimetres. If you want to do the translation, you can. And so unless I was, going to be cast in the role of the woman who ate Summer Bay, I really wasn't going to get much work on TV. And I remember doing a show at Melbourne Fringe with a whole lot of Timberbaker or somebody, some very fabulous kind of name of the author and the playwright. And there was five of us or six of us on stage in a 200-seat theatre, and we outnumbered the audience.
Oh.
And I thought, I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't understand the point of this. I've got things to say, and I want to say them to kind of a willing audience. So I thought, well, stand up. I'm going to do stand up. So, I did my first gig in way back in the olden days, turn of the century. Yes, in the 1900s. It was 1903. In what was it, 94 or 95? I did my first gig, and that's how it started. The long, wandering, meandering, stumbling journey that sees me now back again on the open mic circuit in Londinium.
But something must have happened there for you to go, I want to continue doing this.
Oh, that first gig was pretty good, actually. And a whole lot of my friends went, and it was at the Star and Garter Hotel, and they had, unbeknownst to me, they'd booked the whole front table. So, and you didn't need to, it wasn't a bringers thing. I think there were about 3 or 4 gigs on the circuit in Melbourne at the time. There wasn't much going on. There was a lot of TV comedy in Melbourne. So when I went there to go to drama school and then stayed there. And it was the home of these comedy shows that I thought, well, this is the place to be. But I was at the Star and Garter, a fabulous venue. I don't think it operates. I think it was sold years ago. And a set that I started with, because you had 5 minutes, and I did it in 5 minutes, became 15 minutes of material. But I was so nervous. I took one breath in, and I think I said the whole thing in, and then I was out the other side, and I felt incredible. Like, I felt the most euphoric, because every joke had landed, everything that it was a mixture. It was storytelling and act outs. It was about being at a wedding and being single. It just felt. You probably had this when you first did your first gig, I imagine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't go back, would we?
No.
It's the first hit that gets us addicted.
Yeah, if my first gig was my second gig, I would never have done anything else.
Yeah.
It's pretty much how it's gone. But the fact that the first one happened, the way it happened is the reason I continued.
Yeah. What was your first gig?
It was the showcase after a course. And it was one of those courses where I thought the showcase was taking part at Backyard Comedy, which is where all their showcases seem to take part, except for the one that we did. It took place at Peckham Levels, which, no disrespect to Peckham Levels, if you don't know it, is a converted multi-storey car park.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the dreams of performing at one of the most famous comedy clubs in London in front of however many people would turn up in the multi-level car park in a nice room. The room was 100 people in there. Well, the room was about 100 people in there. I remember being told when we got turned up and you looked at the seats for the first time, you're like, wow. I said to my tutor, just how many tickets have been sold? He said, oh, we had an allocation of 100, but we've sold 87. It's like, oh. Then you add the 12 comedians we've got and you, that's 100. Oh. And then it was like I don't know what to do.
Do your set.
Yeah, it was, but yeah, it was a fantastic night. Enjoyed it.
Sorry, I've cut you off. I was just got so excited about the fact that I have heard you say something about your first gig being in a car park in Peckham, and I imagine like a car park, like on the street. Come on, I would kill to play Peckham Levels, to be fair. I would go, yeah, I've arrived. I love Peckham Levels, so that's awesome.
I think that's also a misconception of people outside of the industry, in that what you see as a punter, a lot of people come in to look at comedy as in TV comedy. They don't realise there's a massive underground world, in effect, of stuff that goes on until you're in it. And for me, doing the showcase was the one only gig I was ever going to do. There was no intention of doing anything else. I didn't know you could do anything else. It was almost just to prove I could do it, and that was it.
That's so
and then you get introduced to this underground world, and you're like,
it is
wow,
underground. A lot of it,
literally.
There's one gig, GMB at the Star of Kings, that's behind a bookcase.
That's the best entrance.
I love that. I love that room. I love that gig.
I have nearly killed myself on those stairs, though.
Treacherous.
Yes.
But was that intentional? Did you go, no, I can't do this, and threw yourself down them?
I remember walking down the stairs. I had a drink in one hand, and I was kind of just meandering down the stairs, and it must have been a little bit wet or something, but one of my feet went, and I reached out my left arm to grab the banister. And you know when you overstretch?
Yeah.
And I had that moment in my head where you're looking towards the ground going, I'm hitting that. I'm going to hit that. There's nothing I can do. And somehow my left arm managed to hold me up, and I managed to stay up.
And did you save the pint?
No, half of that went over the floor. But I saved myself from going to Kyle with a bloody nose and a smashed face going, I can't do the second half, mate. Every time I go down those stairs now, I'm almost going down sideways. I'd get on my bum and scoot down if I thought I could get away with it.
And I'd film it, and we'd use it as your opener. What a time we would have.
I guess that was. So you've come over to Australia, from Australia to the UK. How did you find settling into the comedy scene over here? And if you were sort of semi-established, I guess, over there, within a circuit, to starting again in a whole new circuit?
I was really lucky, because when I was brought over as a semi-professional, so I was playing some really nice rooms with some really, it was kind of to break me, to get me in a professional level over here.
Mm-hmm.
I found it, to be honest, I was terrified. If I'm going to be honest, I was just like, oh my gosh, everyone is so good.
Yeah.
And there was this myth, I don't know, that there weren't any female comics on the circuit. And there were some really excellent. Everyone was excellent. Everyone. The standard was so high, and the people were so varied and talented with different styles. And in my time over here, I've just seen more and more excellent people come through. It wasn't. I wasn't the great. Here's the thing. I wasn't the great gift to the UK comedy scene that I had hoped I'd be, or that it was implied that perhaps I'd be. It's really very sobering. It's like being great at high school and then going to uni and going, oh.
Yeah, this level's somewhat
Other
higher.
smart people are here. Oh.
But
So,
you've become a regular name on the circuit. I think a lot of people know you, don't they?
They
do.
But in what way? That's why my Instagram tag is that Kim Hope. It's like, oh, that Kim Hope.
I do think that's quite clever in a way. You can read it two different ways.
Yeah. Oh, that Kim Hope. Hooray. I once did a show at the comedy festival after a long break of stand-up, a long break over here. I was living over here. And a friend of mine said, "I'll come over and we'll do a show together." And I was like, "Oh, fair enough," thinking, you're going to do something, jump in the deep end. And he rang the Melbourne Comedy Festival to register the show. He said, "I'm doing it with Kim Hope." And the woman on the phone said, "The Kim Hope." So I could go both ways. So for a little while I was at the.
That's good.
I know, it was very sweet. It's nice to be remembered.
Yes. No.
Sorry, she said, tearing up.
Such a good actress as well. Such a good actress.
It's not over the top at all.
So that touches on, I guess, you mentioned Fringe.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been
great, isn't it? I cut it myself. It's if you're
audio
watching
listeners.
This, I have the most incredible bangs that I do cut myself. Anyway, so touching on the Fringe, as in which Fringe? Which Fringe are we talking?
Yeah. So have you done the Melbourne Fringe? Did you say?
The Melbourne Fringe, yes. Which is it in September? There's a Melbourne Comedy Festival as well. That's in March, April. But yeah, I did do shows at the Melbourne Fringe. I started my first kind of foray into it was like stand up. It was a show about a show in a festival called Women's Shorts, and it was short works written and performed by women. And I did a show called One Who Waits, and it was about waiting on tables. And yeah, it was pretty good. I was pretty proud of myself. It was a nice piece of writing.
Cool.
Actually, when I think about, sometimes I doubt my own writing skills, and I should really think about, I should go and check my CV out online that I wrote and posted years ago. Because I've kind of got, it's like I've got past amnesia and I'm starting all over again going, right, I don't know anything about anything. And I guess I could do with looking at my own. I do suffer with a little bit of self-doubt. So maybe I should go back and read my CV and go, it's all right, Kim, you have done this before. You know what you're doing. It's okay.
So you've also tackled Edinburgh Fringe.
Yes, I have.
And how was that whole experience?
Oh, I've done it several times over the years. The first time I did it was a two-hander with my darling friend Adam Richard, who's an Australian comedian and broadcaster and writer. And it was a show we'd done at the Melbourne Comedy Festival. And that was so much fun because it was just great to share that with somebody else.
Yeah.
our time did get changed to a better time. We were on at one time, and there was a slot opened up, but we'd already had all of our stuff, all of our flyers printed by then. So we would sit on the Cowgate for the first 2 hours, changing the times on our flyers before going out to flyer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really fun. I loved that. And it was fun flying with somebody and sharing a show with somebody. And if the way working with Adam was, it was so brilliant, because if they didn't like me on the night, they'd love him. And if something he said fell short, I'd be there. But because we worked so closely together and we're both extremely camp, and I think the show was called Outrageous, and it was aimed to be outrageous. Yeah, we just had a huge laugh. I mean, I do love him. He's one of my closest, dearest friends.
So with setting up your own show at a fringe or a festival, how have you found the first time going out? How many tickets are sold? And if it's just the free festival, I assume it's people just turn up and then you just look at the room and go, "Ah, oh, okay, that's more than I expected." Or
well, I do come at this from a different perspective, obviously. The first show that we did, Adam and I, we were given a room, one of the Gilded Balloon rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So that was taken care of for us. And I don't think we really checked the ticket sales. We just went in to do the show. We just flied and went in to do the show. The second time I did a show was a co-production with Gilded Balloon and somebody else. And the day I checked the ticket sales, there were 3, and I started crying uncontrollably and had to cancel the show.
Oh.
So I stopped checking after that. And then the next year I did another show, and it was produced by the Gilded Balloon. So, and then when I've done shows with other comics in the free fringe more recently, I don't think we just flyer. And if people show up, and we make loud announcements. So yeah, I think I'm not very good at the admin side of it in that sense, the ticket sales. I will go on now. After that day, I cried and cancelled the show because I couldn't do it. The producer, one of the 2 producers, Karen Coram from the Gilded Balloon, was one of them. This is the other producer, said, I actually had the 3 people that were in the audience and he told me, and it was like somebody who organises tours and one of the best talent agents and I'd cancelled the show. So yeah, he wasn't
pleased.
He wasn't best pleased, yeah. So I never did it again.
So I guess with the free fringe stuff, you've got pretty much no idea who's going to show up, how many tickets.
I don't think so. Maybe you do, but I don't think you do, because it's the free fringe and they rock up, and then at the end of the fringe you hold out a bucket and ask for money, which was a shock for me. The first free fringe show I went to, I was like, oh, this is really good. I love this idea of the free fringe. I'm going to go here and here and here and here and here and here. And then I realised, it was a $5 each time. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's not free. I wouldn't mind the £5 fringe. You told me it was that. But I got over my bad self after that. But it just came as a bit of I think it was, the free fringe was quite new then too. So I felt the whole audience kind of go, oh, what?
Yeah. I guess it's free to the point of donation.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder if those things work better than ticketed events sometimes, because I think a lot of people possibly give more money than they would otherwise. So if they walked up to a venue, they may see, okay, it's I don't know, it might be £3 a ticket or something, and it's somebody they've never heard of, and they're thinking, no, I'm not doing that. But they go to a free thing with a donation at the end, enjoy it from somebody they've never heard of, and go, here's a £5. So sometimes I think it can work the alternative way.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think, look, it works for somebody they've never heard of. I think people are more willing to take a punt and just walk in through a door, a tent flap, whatever you're, the phone booth entrance, whatever, the car park lift.
Yeah. Car park ramp.
Yeah. How happy to come up the ramp and see what's in A3 parking space. Excellent. So, yeah, that's good. I like that. I like that it makes it more accessible to everybody too.
I think it just needs to make it, personally, it needs to be more accessible for the performers as well.
But that's what the Free Fringe does, doesn't it?
But it's the sheer cost of being there is just amazing, absolutely phenomenal. Just to actually, just think was like accommodation and stuff like that. It's just that's the cost, isn't it? That's the biggest cost of everything.
I've heard that. I have heard that. Yeah, in recent years, the cost is what is prohibitive. Because when I went, the times I've been before the hike, before the pandemic, the cost wasn't that extortionate. I mean, I got a place it was a bit of a walk, but I don't mind walking, for £800. It was
for the whole month.
Yeah, for the whole month. It was in a woman's, which was great because my partner at the time lost his job, so I had to pay rent back home as well. Fun times.
Yeah, because I took my first trip to the Edinburgh Fringe last year, and I think we were there for 4 nights in a Premier Inn. That on average in London, a Premier Inn's going to cost you £150 a night. The Edinburgh Fringe, it cost us, I think it was £285 a night. And so the bill at the end is over £1,000 for 4 nights in a Premier Inn. It's like, where's the spa? For the money you're paying, you need a swimming pool. And it's that point where, unless you can find accommodation that you can share with somebody for a long period of time, I think it's, the times I've been able to, I thought about going up there to try and do some kind of performance. And then you just look at the cost and go, I'm of that age now where I can't do a youth hostel. I just can't do something like that for me. So I look at the hotels and you just start, and you go, okay, well, I'm now going to have to, I'm taking myself out of, granted, I was in the old town, so everything was walkable. I had no real travel stuff to do. But I'm going to have to take myself way out to bring that cost down to make it feasible.
Yeah, I think they're looking into that. I certainly hope they are. But yeah, I think the idea is, you get together with a whole group of other comedians and you just share a massive house or apartment. And when I've been there, I've slept in a cupboard. I slept in an A-shaped room that was like basically it was like that. It was very small and very cute. You will sleep in anything. Like the cupboard was quite big. And it was in one of those old style apartments on the studenty side. But you open the door and the mattress was just on the floor. And that wasn't for long. And that was just, I think, a couple of nights. And there was once where I came over and my friends had an apartment right near the Gilded Balloon TV. And there was 3 of us in the room. There was Mickey, Egan, and they let me sleep on the floor. And I'm like, I'm fine with this. Yeah. You just, I think there'll be a lot of room sharing in the not too distant Fringe.
I think it's going to have to be that way. But so you've not been scared off because you are fringing again this year.
I am. Myself and Kimberly Policella are doing a show. I think we're only doing a limited run called Is That Not Normal? And we're going to preview it we're going to start off at the Brighton Fringe for 9 nights, and then take it to Edinburgh. So
are there plans to do previews in London before previews of the preview, in effect?
I guess so. The thing is, look, it's. I'll be honest, it's in its infancy. I'm going out to visit Kimberley next week, and we're spending a couple of days together, getting some ideas, photos together. Because the idea of it is a split bill, which is fairly straightforward. But we have such a unique connection. Somebody once called us the yin and yang of each other, and she is like sparkly and American and pretty and pink, and I am a bit scruffy. I really try, but it is, and I just try and put makeup on. It just doesn't go in the right places, and it kind of moves, and I try and dress nicely, and I see photos of myself and go, wow, like it's almost like Kim found somebody scrabbling through a clothes bin. And she felt sorry for her and went, let's do a show together. So I can't wait to see. But we have a unique connection because we've sat together and talked about, just our lives and the choices we've made. And Kimberly just said, is that not normal? And I laughed and went, that's got to be the title of the show.
Yeah.
Because we've just done stuff going, I mean, I've kissed people and they've gone, well, I've kissed him, now we're in a relationship. And it's like, oh, is that not normal? Is that not what most people do? There's a vetting process. Oh, my goodness. Just going to switch my laptop power on. There we go. And we're back. Trying it to die halfway through. So, yeah, that's the idea for the show.
So, Brighton Fringe is end of May?
Yes, last week of May into June. Yep, so I think it's I've got that on in my diary and on my calendar. I'm known to overestimate, so to give myself plenty of warning, I'll say it starts now.
Yeah.
Because I do Spotify, 3 months for £10, and I do Amazon Prime, a free week, and I'll go straight to the diary as soon as I've booked it and go, right, 2 days before, a month before, but cancel Amazon Prime, cancel Spotify membership.
Somebody's so organised. I forget.
I don't like. I think that's what that whole system is based on, isn't it? It's a people forgetting that they've got this ongoing. And I've been stung before.
Yeah,
I've been stung before. I've had £2 come out of my account, and I'm like, what is that for? Oh, yeah, monthly meditation app. Well, you won't get me. This will be the last time you take my £2.
So like automatic car insurance and home insurance renewals and things like that. We're doing you a favour so you don't have to remember. But you never look at the renewal. You see the price and go, what?
Yeah. Come on, Mark. Get that diary out, my friend. I've got 2 diaries and a calendar now. No, 2 calendars and a diary. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I'll just go from one to the other. I've also got a list on the inside of my wardrobe of when the last time it was I did things like change the bed linen, vacuum my room, turn my plants toward the wood around and water them. Because I overwater plants and I forget, when did I change my bed linen? And then it's dragging itself out the door going, we need to go in the washing machine. Right, okay.
Oh, dear. Right,
oh, really behind the curtain now.
Yeah.
See, stick of the dump. I'm stick of the dump. Kimberly is like a beautiful Barbie, or crystal, pretty and pink Barbie. It's just like me going, from the bins. I need a reminder to change my underpants. Oh, dear.
You do crack me up. You really do.
I'm glad. My mother would say, don't laugh. It only encourages her.
So that's actually a good thing, though. That kind of leads on nicely to the next question I've got kind of lined up is what's the best moment ever on stage?
That I have ever had, or just ever?
Well, yeah, the best moment you've ever had on stage.
I don't know if I've had it yet. I've had some pretty good moments, though. I've had the last gig I did at Edinburgh Fringe one year, after a real slog of a festival. Was at the top of a bus, and I got there late, so they put me on last as the headliner, and the venue was a bus. in the Three Sisters kind of area. They had a yurt, they had a bus, they had all kinds of things. It was a fab little kind of multi-venue, really nice vibe. And I got there, and there were a couple of comics sitting down the bottom half of the bus because the gig was upstairs, kind of going, "Oh my God, there's these guys, and it's just they've been really heckling and da da da." And I think by then I couldn't care less. I just went, "This is over. I don't care." And I was so match fit. I was so match fit, and I knew my set so well. Like it was kind of, I knew it on a cellular level.
Yeah.
And so I got up there, and kind of just because I didn't care.
Yeah.
And boom, got them. Like I used the people down the front who are these four young guys who, four young guys normally look stricken when I come in with my heels on and stand in front of them and like, what? What does this school teacher want? Why she got a crisp packet coming out of her hair? Oh, sorry guys, I've just been in the bin again. But so, and the heckly guys from I think they're on a stag do from Aberdeen. So they tried a little bit on, and I was like, I'm not having it. So I kind of addressed them directly. I don't even. And then the boys down the front looked so terrified, and I went, "Look, you've scared One Direction." And I made it my mission to protect One Direction, who were these poor boys at the front, from the guys at the back who were trying to kidnap them from the money, ransom money. And then I wove my set in and out of it. And it was one of those times where I realized how good it is to know your material and know it backwards.
Yeah.
Because you can drop in and out of it and play.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always told myself I need to do. If I've got my set is solidly grounded, memorized to the point where I can forget it and I still know it, I can play.
Yeah, the practice.
Yeah, gig, practice. Like, I know we can't always get up on stage because we can't afford the time, or we can't, we don't have the time, we can't get there. We can't get enough gigs in. But you can rehearse at home. You can practice at home. No,
I do. I agree. It's I long for that day that I remember everything and can kind of just go, and I'm going to talk about something else for just 10 seconds or reference something else that's happened in the room and not have it put me off. And then have that moment where you come back and go, and that's where I was.
Yeah.
And not have that pause and just be able to just kind of naturally fall back into it and flow. And it feels like the first time, and it just feels fun. And the audience don't feel like they know deep down it's a routine, but they don't know, because you've flipped in and out of it. They don't know what is the routine and what's not the routine.
That's great, isn't it?
And then it just becomes fun.
That's great. That's a hard thing to do. I found, who growing up I used to watch and who did it beautifully was Billy Connolly. My dad was a mad Billy Connolly fan. He laughed so much he stopped breathing and fainted. We thought he was dead. I mean, bless him, he's dead now, but Billy Connolly had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But he just would just go off on those amazing tangents, and then suddenly he'd be back and the audience would roar with laughter, with recognition that he'd finally picked up the story. Because in the audience's mind, we kind of bookmark it and go, that's what you started talking about. And I find sometimes if I'm riffing with an audience or you go off on one with an audience and they're loving it, when I get back to my set, they hear it, they hear the clunk. So I'm with you on that. I love being able to know my set enough for it to just be a conversation I'm having with the audience.
Yeah.
Goals, mate. Goals. Things to work on.
Oh yeah, I think there's it's one of those things where there's so much in what we do to work on, and I think it's especially at the open mic level where you're generally a 5, 7 or a 10. A 5, from my experience, probably generally has 10 minutes worth of material. A 7 has 20 and a 10 has 30. And it's trying to work out which parts of which one you can use to get the best out of it. But
yeah, totally. I totally agree with you. Like when I came back to stand up last year, I had a set that I thought was 5 minutes. And I only got through the opening bit and the first routine. I went, oh God, I've got 2 more bits to go.
Yeah.
And then I went, okay, what was I ending on? I'm ending on this. Okay. Pulled out emergency, pull handle an emergency joke, put it in there, and I was gone. But wow, I looked back at my set and went, okay, so that's not 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got the first recording of my first ever G&B, and Callum was the MC.
Yeah.
Lovely guy.
Yeah.
I kind of warned him at the start and said, look, this is my 4th gig on stage, and I really will try to keep to time, but I don't. I've got it's 5 minutes in my head, and the video is 7.5 minutes long.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh dear.
I know
how because. I think what I guess this would be a little tip for anybody that's actually started out in this kind of crazy industry is that no matter how much you rehearse around the house, you never know what breaks you're going to get in terms of laughter breaks, which then obviously extends your set. So you're at that stage where you think you've got 5 minutes of material, but you don't need 5 minutes of material. You probably really only need 3.5 to 4 minutes of material. The rest is filler if it's not gone well, but laughter if it is going well.
Can I just take notes?
There's something I spoke to a mutual friend of ours, Jim Hooker, when he's talking about his So You Think You're Funny performance. In that I think they've got a 7-minute set to do.
Yep.
But in his semi-final, he ended up running to 8 because of the laughter breaks that were happening. But he doesn't get cut off, obviously, not at that kind of stage. But it was a 7-minute set originally, and it still was 7 minutes of material and breaks. But the laughs were so much better than before, it overran.
Yeah.
And you want that. You want to speak as little as possible on that stage and get all that feedback. It's like when I watch Louis McLean do some of his stuff. He talks so slowly and so methodically. And if you actually probably counted the number of words he uses in a set, it's probably really minimal.
Yeah.
Because the laughs just come from the pacing of everything being so slow.
Yeah.
And the audience going, what's next? What's next?
But I think that's the thing. It's something I struggle with. I put too many words in anyway. And because I'm so excited to be on stage, I start to get really energetic and and sometimes, a little bit of self-doubt will creep in and I'll try and run ahead of it and go, oh, I'm not listening to you. Look, I'm going to go over here and do this little kind of gyrate against the curtain and then I'm going to go over there. And it's something I've learned from a book that I know you have, Adam Bloom's Stand-Up. What is it? Unleash Your... Finding Your Comic Genius. But it's just talking about going through your set with a fine-tooth comb and taking out every single unnecessary word.
Yep.
If I transcribe what I say on stage, I will sit there with my head in my hands going, why are you saying this? Why? What was that in aid of?
What value did that extra sentence give?
Absolutely. So people like Louis McLean, it's there's a few people I've seen on the open mic circuit who are very, very good, and their sets are so spare. And they just drop them in it's like just little ripples, and our imaginations go Burt.
Yeah. Whereas
I think leave nothing to the imagination, spill it all, spin it around, put it in a blender, blend it around. More noise, more action, more going through the bins, more jazz hands.
But the one thing that kind of leads us round really is the Louis McLean set I actually saw was at a Beat the Blackout competition.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. I was thinking about the acts I've seen on Beat the Blackout.
Yeah.
Who beat the Blackout?
One day.
Fingers crossed.
But so I'd like to get your take on the gong format for comedians and
Never
general
was a
thoughts.
fan. Never was a fan. Thought it's not gladiatorial. I've got enough voices in my head telling me I'm shit. I don't need the audience to chime in with little cards that they hold up after 2 minutes. But a friend convinced me to do it because, it's on a nice stage. It's in a great venue. It's incredibly well run. They're lovely people. And I did it. And I got a real rush from it. It was like doing a massive bungee over like a moat full of crocodiles and sharks all with their mouths open. Like, it was like, my massive phobia is sharks. So that was I was just like, I faced every single fear I have about stand-up doing Beat the Blackout. It was like I'd walked into a room on stage, and the lack of sound that was coming from that audience was like walking into a room where there was just like clear padding between me. It was soundproof, like the stage had been soundproof. Nothing is coming back. I died the death, but they kept me on there for about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. It's like, I was just goading them. Come on. I was looking at the lights going, I've got 2 more to go. Raise your cards. And it's almost like they were going, but no, because we know you want it.
Yeah.
It was that first Beat the Blackout reminded me of my first death on stage that wasn't intentional and wasn't it was when I was new. I had a set that worked really, really well, but I made the mistake of when I went back to do the gigs again, to do the same set of gigs that I'd done before, of doing a completely different set, didn't I?
Yeah.
Which worked well in one venue, worked well at another venue, but when I got to the third venue, silence, silencio.
Yeah, it's
all the cards would have been held up. The lights would have gone out immediately. It reminded me of that, but because I knew that was a built-in experience, it was a great way of facing my fears, and I had a massive rush afterwards. I still don't know that I like them because I've done it again, and I did feel wildly demoralized after it. But it's just a great way of facing, because part of me goes, but that is doable. You can beat that blackout.
Yeah.
So, of course, myself, that inner critic goes, then what are you doing wrong? Why aren't you good enough to beat that blackout? Because those people are.
Yeah. I completely get those feelings.
So
It's one of those shows where you kind of think, why didn't I do it? What did I do wrong? What was it that offended those 3 cards? There's something that I've said. Was it my tone? Was it being boring? Was it just not a funny joke for them? I don't know what it was. And you almost want everyone that holds the card up to say one word on why they did it. And if they turn up and say, I just didn't like that joke, fine. I was getting bored. Okay, fine. Because I believe the Ding Dong Gong show do that. They have like a panel of judges.
Oh, wow.
And so if you get through or get gonged off or whatever, then the judges will, I guess their aim is to have a bit of a laugh with you and try and, in effect, help you for next time.
Right. Is that the one in Vauxhall?
Yes. I haven't done that one yet.
I know you were going to, and they had to pull it that night because I was coming to watch you to see what it was like.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
But yes, we will. So you're still up for doing more gongs as such?
I think so. But what I'd really like to do is, I've got some new ideas, like stuff for the show with Kimberly, that I want to really hone and sharpen, and then take them to that stage and see how they fly there. I don't want to go back with the whimsy, the Tasmanian tiger, devil energy, tiger, extinct. Hey, yes, there might be something in that. See, this is what I do, isn't it? I go off on a tangent. Away we go. So yeah, I'm not averse to it. I'm not keen on doing ones where you don't even get a shot. Like you were telling me about, which one is it that you just can walk on, say hi, my name's Kim, and they go boo.
That's the one. That's the Comedy Stores one.
Ah, brutal.
But I think there is something to say for if you're of a thick-skinned nature as a comic and can accept that people aren't going to like you and genuinely accept people aren't going to like you, not just say, oh yeah, I'm not going to be for everyone. And almost you don't feel humiliated being voted off because you'll never be the only one. But as a comic, walking on a stage at Up the Creek, when you're used to the open mic downstairs of a pub or no stage somewhere else and you're just standing in front of people, whatever it is, to actually stand on the stage of a comedy club that's designed for that purpose is extremely thrilling. And knowing you get 2 minutes just to stand there and do your thing, you can stand there for 2 minutes and don't say a word and just soak in that you are on this stage.
Wouldn't recommend
I think that
it.
has something.
Wouldn't recommend you do that. Recommend you give it a try, because what a waste of makeup and a travel card, you know?
You know what I mean, though? It's that feeling of, not I've arrived, but this is what...
you have arrived at your destination, because Google Maps told you that. But look, I do understand. I do understand. It's not that I don't agree, but perhaps that's not the way I see it. But I do understand your point of view.
Yeah. Cool.
I just remember the padded room that I walked into. It went so hard. I find to Beat the Blackout funny because audience members will come up to you afterwards and tell you, I really loved you. I wouldn't have... Okay. It's okay. It's okay. I did get the blackout and that's fine. Like I'm not upset. But thank you for your... Yeah, I'm not upset. Why are you eating all those chips then? Because there's the Codfather down the road and they sell really amazing chips. Are you eating your feelings? What?
Oh. Right. What's your favourite joke you've ever told? How did you come up with it and how's it evolved over time?
Well, I do think you cannot beat the classic, what did the porcupine say when he bumped into the cactus? Excuse me, darling. Over time, I've learned to pause and let the audience potentially answer before I hit them with the punch. Let me see. Well, a lot of my early stuff has evolved over time. But one of my favourite jokes is just a joke about, it's a joke about masturbation, let's face it. And I was listening to another audio cassette that somebody gave me of comedians back in the day. And it was either, I think it was a comedian called Kathy Ladman, an American comedian, and she had this great joke about her husband, her and her husband watching TV, and she said, I farted watching the football or something, and he said, that's not very ladylike. And she said, neither's a blowjob, but I don't hear you complaining about that. Now, I don't know if I've done something wrong there by telling somebody else's joke.
No.
I don't know, so I do apologise. It struck me as one of the best jokes I've ever heard, just in the complete way, just the surprise element, the way she flipped it.
Yeah.
So I took that structure and put something that had happened to me into it and did the reverse on it like that. And it's a joke that I won't tell here because it still works to this day. And I sometimes use it as a closer. And it is the pull the cord in emergency closer joke if I've suddenly gone, oh, I've just been flashed and I've still got at least half of my set to do. So I'll say it then. But over time, Oh, damn. I hate it, but it was one of those jokes that came out spot on.
Yeah.
I haven't need to tweak it. And that's one of my issues. So I love a tweak. I love a polish. And sometimes people will go, oh, I used to tell it like this. And I think, oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I should go back to that recording and have a listen. Yeah. So that's that joke. What's your favourite joke?
My favourite joke. My favourite joke is kind of the three parts in my set where if things aren't going well in my set, these three lines generally get a very good laugh and kind of bring people back on. And it's the premise is that when a man's asked what he's thinking, and the stuff that goes on inside a bloke's brain is never very interesting. It's always very something stupid. And the three lines I always come up with is I'm thinking about do dogs lick humans because they're full of bones? 72-hour deodorant. Who came up with that? Who wakes up on a Monday, reaches for the Lynx Africa and says, well, that's me done till Thursday. And I did originally have the next one was everybody really kung fu fighting, which only works for a certain generation.
Yep, it works for me. I love that joke.
So it's kind of I've adapted that one now to be if Cinderella's slipper was such a perfect fit, why did it fall off in the first place?
That's great.
I like that.
That is great.
And that works across all ages because obviously everyone knows who Cinderella is.
That is such a great joke.
Thank you.
Well done for kung fu fighting not being something that crosses all generations.
It really did disappoint me, that one. When the first time that one didn't work, it was like, oh. And I looked through the audience and went,
You're all born this century.
Yes. I understand why that didn't work. So yeah, that's my favourite sequence of jokes, I guess. Because
that's great. That is a great joke. Oh, look. If I wrote that, I'd have taken the day off. A week off. Man, well done.
But it's one of those weird jokes that you think I probably heard it before, and it's just where's it cut? I'm sure I haven't. I'm not the first person to say it. It's probably ended up on a meme somewhere, and I've seen it, and it's that sort of thing that fits with the story, and I've gone, yeah, let's use that, because the dogs licking humans because they're full of bones. That's got a touch of a slow burn to it. In that it once people get it, they don't get it straight away. There's always that little sort of probably 1.5 seconds of gap, and then it hits, and that's the beauty of that joke. I don't want it to hit first. It needs that thought process of going, aha.
Is that why my dog does that? I thought he loved me.
Because it's one of those situations, I think, where if you're a person that analyzes stuff quite deeply, I am that person, and I saw a comedian who was doing a routine that was around those words. What are you thinking? Which is what my whole routine was based around. And I'm seeing a professional comedian do it, and I've looked at my wife and gone, can I ever do mine again? Because if this goes out, they're just going to think I've copied it. And he used a similar kind of way of doing things, about how men's brains are stupid. They don't think of anything relevant. He said, and one of the examples he gave was, why does a wheelbarrow only have 3 wheels? And I thought, that's really good. And then I thought about it and go, well, if you had 4, you couldn't steer it. It doesn't make sense. And there's the analytical brain inside me going, no, that's a flawed joke somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to keep things as simple as I can.
And also, I don't know any wheelbarrows with 3 wheels. I thought they only had 1. But anyway, I am a pedant.
You are. Yeah, see, now you've analysed it even further.
Yeah, I will. Look, I analysed the expression double-edged sword, and I was like, aren't they all? Like, aren't they all? Otherwise, what you're talking about is a butter knife. And then I said that on stage finally, and a whole lot of comedians did come up to me and correct me and tell me lots and lots of different swords that have one edge. And I thought, great. The nerds are in.
Yes.
The Dungeons and Dragons boys are in, and they're telling me about their swords. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So you performed on many stages.
I have.
In front of lots of people.
I have.
Now we are now seeing Kim Hope's Fringe show go nationwide with a final date at the Hammersmith Apollo in front of 5,000 people. What music do you walk out to?
Oh, 4 Kicks by Kings of Leon.
4 Kicks.
Yeah. I could just see it in my head. Oh, you described it. I could see the audience. I could hear it. And me walking out amongst all the smoke. Probably having a coughing fit. You know, all that haze. Ruining it from the start, thinking I'll do a little bit of improv.
Oh, you could never ruin it, I don't think.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Thank you. I'm gonna just lie down and I've got to meditate on that. Do some what's the secret? You know, the visual, the secret. If you visualize it, it'll come. It's like, oh, okay, there we go. Back to you. Sorry, Mark. I just went off on one again.
That's the beauty of these.
Oh,
they are casual chats with a plan, but the plan can be whatever we choose it to be.
Right. That's my attitude to life and obviously to stand up. I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm not doing this now. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't live without doing this. Okay, I'm back doing it again. Okay, I'm tired. Okay. Okay, I'm married. Okay, I'm divorced. Okay, I'm heartbroken. Okay, it's just, yeah.
So that's an interesting thing we spoke about in the past, actually, about the stopping and starting doing it, and what keeps bringing you back into it.
Yeah. I think the thing is with me, I can't not do it. I have tried not to do it. I have tried to parlay a career enjoyment out of any number of different things. I have tried relationships. I have tried food. I have tried booze. I really did try with booze. We were together for so long. We nearly got to our silver anniversary. Oh, I was so heartbroken. Did I go? I had my present all planned, concussion probably, and so yeah, and relationships. Like I've just tried to fill that feeling inside, but there is nothing like doing stand up. I just love making people laugh. I will make the postman laugh. I work at the stage door in a couple of West End theatres, just a little bit of part time because I love to interact with people. And I find just writing on my own in a room sometimes very, I'm never alone because there's that chorus in my head, the Greek chorus that sings several kinds of different harmonies on how bad I am, or do you remember when you did this? And I'm sitting here going, oh no. But so I will try to make the postman laugh. I will try to make the people who come in to do the cellar laugh. I will try to make the DHL go. Like I just love the lift, the elevation that laughter gives people. Yeah.
And I guess you can, it's that you can cheer somebody's day up.
Yeah.
Just with that. And I think when you do that, you're not just making them happy, you're making yourself happy because you know you've not so much achieved something, but you've spread some joy for somebody else.
Yeah, look, there is something, it's not a one-way, very benevolent kind of, I don't want anyone to know it was me who made you feel good. It's like, it's very much an ego. I made you laugh. Woohoo! I feel great now. I wasn't an asshole. Hooray! High five me. Everyone applaud me. I wasn't an asshole to someone.
So on the open mic circuit at the moment, is there anything you'd change?
Funny that you know what? I do think about this. I think it would be, first of all, I think it would be incredibly difficult to run an open mic night.
Yep.
I think because of, there's just lots of variables there. And you want your acts to be reliable, and when you're not paying them, it's, they might not be as reliable, or they're new, or they don't know how it works, or you have a set of rules and they don't follow them, and that kind of thing. So I think there's I applaud anyone who does it. And this might stop me from, this might have me banned from any open mic nights.
I'm sure it won't.
They're sometimes a bit long. Because of the people you've got there. You've got people who aren't doing this professionally. They're amateur, which means you do it for the love of it, for the sheer joy of doing it. Professional means you get paid to do it. So they're not professional in that sense. You're asking them to come along to sit through the entire evening of acts that may be variable standards, but we're all there for each other. We're all there to support each other. You're asked to bring some friends along to make it an audience and to contribute toward the bucket at the end of the night. A lot of people have jobs that they have to get to, or they've come from a job, and their friends have got jobs that they've got to get to, or they've come from a job. And it's sometimes when it stretches on and you can see midnight,
Yeah.
It's difficult to ask your friends to stay, especially if they've already seen you and you're who they really did come to see because they're your pals.
Yeah.
My throat closes up thinking about it. Like, I've been on at the end of those nights, or toward the end, and the audiences have left at the interval, or they've left several acts before I've gotten on because it's just so long.
Yeah.
And then there's always a bucket, or you're asked to contribute. Some of them you've already paid to get in, but then they ask for a bit more money at the end.
Yeah.
And there's nobody there to pay apart from the acts because your friends have got. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I love the open mic night. I love the open mic circuit. It's so rich and abundant, and there's so many gigs, and you can get better by doing open mic. But it's like, okay, I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow. I would go to an open mic night every single night, but sometimes I just go, do I have the energy?
Yeah.
And the financial means to contribute to every single one and to be here every night, night after night after night. I'll stop there. I tend to run on and then regret what I've said, but I do think sometimes they're a bit long.
Yeah, yeah. No, so I mean, if your night's going to end at 10 o'clock, then great. If your night's going to run till 11, half 11, you're like,
yeah,
I get it completely. Because the ultimate thing is the whole bringer scene is if you want your bringer to want to come along to have fun and not just enjoy you.
Yeah.
You want to introduce them to this world. And if they end up being there and not wanting to be part of it after it, then they're not going to come again.
Yeah. Yeah. I never thought about that. You do want to introduce your friends to this amazing world, like you said, this amazing network, this underground scene of comedy that is in London, and so many good people. My friend who came to my first gig last year, he had such a great time. He's always like, when are you on again? When are you on again? Like, and it was an open mic night, and he was my bringer, and he came along at the last minute, and it just was such a good night. He really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. And he's been telling people, and now, people in his street all want to come along to a gig. But it's also, they do have jobs, so they've got to be able to get out of that gig in time to come home, wash their face, go to bed, get up for work, and not be dead the next day. And the good thing about it is you bring your friends. If they want to stay and they want to come to more open mic nights and they've got jobs, they're really going to contribute to the pot at the end of the night. They really, really are.
Yeah.
Like, my mates chuck a tenner in and I'm like, hey, I bought them. Remember, I bought them. Remember, they're my friend.
No, it's a very true point. I think that those that come away from the night enjoying it without feeling like, I need, they're checking the time to go, I've got a train to get or whatever else, they are going to contribute more, and they're going to be future audience members as well.
That's true. And you're right too, because people come from out of town to do these gigs. So a lot of acts I know, I'm walking back with them and they're going, I've got to go on this train because I've got to get here because I've got my last train out of London is, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay. I've got to go to Northfields. Anyway, sorry, I was keeping you chatting and just offering you some of my chips, and you have to get to a major train station to get out of London.
Yeah.
But again, I say that and I say, but it's not hard, and I don't know what the variables are and how many people you need to get on to make it a viable thing for you either. I don't know because I don't run them. Yeah,
no, it's purely from a these kind of things are purely more from a
selfish comedian's point of view, and that's who I am. Hi.
In a weird kind of way. I mean, I've spoken to some people that are open mic promoters, and they've said, we want the bringers, and the reason we want the bringers is because of the audience, because no comedian wants to turn up and just perform in front of other comedians, which again is 100% valid argument. So it's having that, I think, finding that happy medium between the two that can make it viable, give the comedian what they require from that night, and want to do it again.
Yeah.
And what the promoter wants to do it again. But most promoters seem to stick around for quite a while, from what I've seen. I've not seen any nights that have started up that suddenly have just gone, no, we're not doing it anymore. Good. So there must be something in it for them.
Yeah. A lot of them do it, I think, because they love comedy.
Yeah.
Like, really do. Just love comedy and comedians.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Which I appreciate.
We want to be loved. We want to be loved.
I want to be loved. I've moved across the world. I mean, I've got a family that absolutely adore me in Australia, and friends and relatives, and I've gone, see, I'm off to make a room full of strangers admire me. I made the postman laugh today. My mum's sitting there going, I need you here. My friend's cat died. I'm like, but the guy from DHL thinks I'm really funny.
Yeah.
Yep.
One last thing on this this podcast, this new podcast I'm doing. I have this little book. This is called The Little Book of Shit Jokes by Sid Finch.
Hey. Are they jokes about poo?
Not all of them, maybe some. The idea is I want to challenge every comedian to pick a joke from this book and use it in their set. They can use it just once. They can adjust the joke if they want to make it fit better within their set, but the premise has to stay the same. And then record it, post it, tag, etc., etc. Promotion.
Challenge accepted.
But you have to pick. You get to pick the joke,
right? But
you only get to pick it by a page number. So you don't. I don't know what's going to come up, and you don't know what's going to come up until you give me a number between 5 and 95.
The number 67.
67.
Has it been taken?
We have 2 jokes on this page. Would you like joke number 1 or joke number 2?
It's the Little Book of Shit Jokes. I'll have number 2.
Okay.
See what I did? Yeah, people, come along. Kim Hunt. Is that not normal? Come along and hear those kinds of comedy styling and watch me make this joke my own.
Yes. So the joke you're going to try and make your own is a limbo dancer walks into a bar. She's disqualified immediately.
Hells yeah. Hells yeah. Hells yeah. Is that not a joke you can genuinely see me doing and selling? And not see me slightly limboing. Oh.
It's got actions in it.
It's got actions in it. It's got injury, threat of injury. It's got losing, which I love. I'm so good at that too.
But get the video of it and then either send it to me or post it on Instagram and tag us in it. And,
I can't wait.
We'll share it about. And I want to see how many comedians away from the podcast actually do this.
Oh my God, I'm doing it at Beat the Blackout. I'm opening with it.
You can do it in 2 minutes.
I can do it at the 2 minutes. Yes. I'll be like, guys, you got to bear with me. I've got a really good joke. I'm going to drop it in. You'll be so glad you waited.
As soon as those lights go, dunk.
Yeah.
You tell the joke.
Okay, people,
then
are
what
you ready?
happens?
No, I think I might tease it out. I'll go, right, that way. Okay, you ready? I'm going to tell it. Maybe, actually, no, that wasn't it. Wait, it's coming. Wait, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. And I'll just keep them. I'll string them along.
Yeah.
I'll string them along like a vixen, like a comedy vixen. That's not what they do. But anyway.
I've actually thought of using this book or a book like this with these type of really short jokes as my set. So it's a case of the audience will control what they hear in that manner.
But you could also, that's a great idea. And you could also Joe Coy it, like the guy that hosted the Golden Globes. If it doesn't work, you can go, I didn't write it. I didn't write it. I didn't write that one. I was like, wow, how ungracious. Oh my God. I didn't write that. You'll laugh at mine because they're funny, but I didn't write this. Book of shit jokes. They're meant to be shit. Hello. That would be great. It's like Choose Your Own Adventure, Mark. It's
because I kind of did this, what I've just done with you, but I did it live at the end of last year. I did a gig and all the acts were given 10 minutes this time. So we did our 10 minutes and I needed a bit of filler at the end. And I had this book in my back pocket. So I'll shout out to the audience and ask the audience for a random number. And I said, the jokes in this book fit the MC perfectly. They're his style, puns, etc. So I threw it out to him and said, this is the joke I want to hear you say at the next gig we do together.
Oh, wow.
So I'm interested to see if he does it.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's so funny, Mark. You're such a clever man. Cinderella shoe. Come on now. How did I not see that?
It does. It makes me laugh though when you look at people's jokes and you listen to something and you go, "Why did you have that idea and I haven't had that idea? What's the difference in the two that creates that?" And you kind of go, "I wish I'd thought of that."
I've got one joke where people do say, "Oh, I love that joke. Why didn't I think of that?" Da 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 da. And I thought probably because it wasn't a standard that was used to traumatize you growing up, that you've needed to unpack, that you've needed to pick apart in order to take the piss out of, in order to neutralize it.
Yeah.
Using kidman, not guns, because you're not allowed to shoot people. Oh, God.
Okay.
I almost got through without doing anything that made me cringe, and I had to say that right at the end.
I don't know. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. That's what we're here for. It's fun.
Good.
So tell the good people, I know you mentioned it earlier, where they can find you.
They can find me on Instagram at thatkimhope.com. No, thatkimhope. I do have a website, but I haven't touched it in years. And also we've got the show is going to have its own little Instagram page at Is That Not Funny? No, is that not normal? Is that not normal? So yeah, that's it. And Kimberly Policella, I think, is at Kimberly Policella on Instagram. So you give her a follow. She's going to be huge. She's going to be famous. You better watch her. She's already fabulous. The fame is just a scented candle away. Wow.
She's off again.
Yeah, I know.
No, and you can, just for all the listeners, I say, that's hopefully the listeners that we've got, please come back next time. You can find us Open Mic Comedy Pod on Instagram and all the W's, openmiccomedypod.com.
Oh
wow. We are on pretty much every platform, so whichever platform you're listening to us on, please give us a follow, a subscribe, review, 5 stars or 0 only, please, because 1, 2, 3, and 4 mean nothing. And I believe on Spotify you can even ask a question. So if you want to do that, please do that and give us some feedback. This is very new, so feedback's welcome. And until next time, thank you, Kim. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a delight. Thank you for asking me.
And everybody that is gigging out there, stay funny on stage and survive those gong nights. Take care, everyone.